Am I an idiot for telling my parents off for always favoring my adopted sister over me? When I, male 27, was 3, my parents, male 51, and female 49, adopted my newborn sister. She is deaf and learned to lead lips incredibly well. She also got better grades and had more friends. I had a few while she was very social despite her disabilities than me as a child, and my parents always called her the best gift they could have asked for. They favored her and gave her everything she asked for. They both made a lot of money and sent her to a very nice private school, while I went to a weekly funded public school 2 blocks from my house. When I was 11, I was made fun of and bullied by a kid in my class, and my father told me to toughen up. I went to my teacher, who filed a report to the principal, who didn't do much. Later, and my father called me weak for going to my teacher about a bully. The birthday parties for me were not really parties, but where I asked them to make my favorite dinner and they reluctantly agreed. My sister received massive parties, where my parents typically got her around 10 expensive gifts on top of everything else. They funded her college education in full, while they had told me to make do with the tiny bits of money they gave me for chores that I have been saving. More recently, they have asked me straight to my face why I wasn't as intelligent, social, and successful as my sister. Mind you, I make 20K more than her with no degree. Recently, she got engaged to a guy, who I'm currently good friends with and even learned sign language for my sister early in their relationship. They held a dinner party, where they openly talked about how they wish they had another golden child like my sister. They then asked me why I couldn't be like her. I got up and asked to talk to them outside. I told them that they were neglectful assholes who never cared about me, and that they were bad parents. I then argued with them further, and they said that they were simply trying to make her feel better about her disability. By the end of the argument, they admitted they never wanted a son, and always wanted a child that would impress people and who would make them look good. I left angrily, and told my best friend about it, who said that it was good that I was stranded with them. However, the rest of my family, excluding my sister, believed that I was an ungrateful, whiny witch who never appreciated what I had. Of course, this is after years of my parents telling them lies and after they told them a twisted version of the conversation. Am I the idiot for losing it to my parents for treating my sister much better than me for years and thinking of me as less than her? Update. I followed the advice of some people in the comments and sent an email to my relatives. I told them they didn't have any proof that I was ungrateful and unappreciative for what I had, except for my parents' word, which wasn't much. I also asked why they never came to a single one of my birthday parties, why I went to a much shittier school, and why I spent so much time in my room when they came to visit, something I really didn't mention in my first post. They wanted me upstairs in my room for about 75% of all visits because they said they were embarrassed by me. I also had my sister vouch for me, saying they only wanted a golden child. About half of them believe me now, some still can't decide who's in the right, and some are saying that it's reasonable to want a perfect child and that kids are nuisances, and that my parents were 100% in the right. I also determined that my sister had to know something was off. I told her that it would be a bit before I trusted her 100% again. She agreed, seemed surprised when I said it though. I've looked into therapy as well, and my first appointment is in 2 weeks. Currently, I still have an urge to call my parents because I don't want to lose them, in case they change their minds. Something else in my head is telling me not to though. One of my close friends even told me that I should sue my parents, and that their wife's brother worked for a really good firm and that they could help me hire them. I don't really think the neglect was that serious for a lawsuit, however. Not the idiot. Opus, I would totally go no contact with them. They admitted that they never actually wanted you, so give them what they want. You are no longer their child. They will never hear from you again. Not the idiot. Definitely not in the wrong. They say they never wanted a son. I say give them that wish and cut them off permanently. Keep them out of your life. They are toxic, abusive, and you don't deserve that treatment. Anyone who takes up their view needs to be cut off as well. Your parents aren't going to change. They will continue to make you miserable if you allow them to. Should Opus cut his parents off? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for making my sister's perfect BF leave my parents' home? My female 33, sister Kate, female 38, has been seeing Dave, male 40, for 3 or 4 years now. They met during COVID, so we never really spent much time with him, so it feels like less. She never really seems to have gotten out of the honeymoon phase, because she never shuts up about him. None of it is particularly impressive. It's just normal stuff. He owns his own home. He drives a nice car. Her kids like him. It's also basic. My dad and I used to bond over making fun of him. He works in a job from home, and my dad always thinks office workers are soft. Over time, Dave has sucked up to my dad. He built Dad a barbecue pit and set up cameras around his house. He did a few home repairs for my parents' house, and now my dad treats him like the son he never had. They go fishing together, which my dad has never shown any interest in before. My husband has gone a few times and says he always feels like a third wheel, even though my dad has known him since high school. The incident happened the other day. My daughter, 6 Mo, has been going through a fussy phase. She just cries constantly and won't sleep for more than an hour. My family were having a party and I asked my mother to take the baby because I just wanted a break from the crying 3 inches from my ear and lie down. I ended up sleeping for 4 hours and came down to find goddamn Dave holding my baby. I quickly took my baby back to feed her and she started crying again after the bottle finished. My mom said to give her to Dave because he was able to soothe her the last time. I said no, I didn't want someone who wasn't family holding her. My mom tried to argue, but it's my choice, and I didn't want him anywhere near her. My mom must have said something to Kate because they left soon after and Kate was glaring at me. Most of my family think I'm an op, even though I didn't actually ask them to leave. I think I was perfectly in my rights to not want him to hold my baby. You're the idiot. What's your problem with Dave? Listen, when you have a kid, and you decide to wander off and take a 4-hour nap, you better be grateful for whatever capable person that stepped up to take care of your kid. You probably don't have a lot of people to do that for you, since no one outside the family is allowed to hold your baby. Your language about this guy is so dismissive, but you can't provide any instance about why you don't like him. But that line about your husband feeling like a third wheel is very telling. He was probably the golden boy, right? Having known your family since high school. But you don't mention anything your husband has done to help your family. Then Dave comes along, doing favors for your dad, enjoying hobbies with him, and now you're mad that your husband isn't number one anymore. Am I close? Do you think she's jealous? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I an idiot for skipping New Year's Eve at my sister's house because she banned my kids? Last week I hosted Christmas for my family. I, male 33, have 2 years with my wife. Every year it's at my sister, parents, or my house and it rotates every year. One of us hosts Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. In the last year my sister, who is vocally child-free, got a dog. I love my sister, but we are very much opposites. When I had my kid it changed our relationship a bit. She tolerates, her words, my son. She has never watched him. I've also never asked. My son is present at all family functions. This annoys my sister. My sister has turned into your classic dog mom. World revolves around the dog type. I do not own dogs, and really don't want to be around them. I don't want them in my house. While my sister wanted to bring her dog to Christmas, and I said no. It's well trained and overall okay for a dog. I just didn't want it at my house, or even my yard. She complied and left it alone but was not happy about it and let me know that several times. The day before New Year's Eve, she told me kids weren't welcome at her house. I was taken back by this and asked why. She just said alcohol would be present. We all drink and family friends also come to this party, and just said it wouldn't be appropriate for a 2-year-old to be present. My wife and I had planned to only stay till 10 anyway and then would go home because of our kid. We reconsidered and opted to not go at all and respected my sister's wishes by keeping the kid at home. I let her know a half hour before the party started. Wife and I treated it like any other night. We didn't even stay up till midnight. By 11, I noticed missed calls from her and didn't answer. Fell asleep while texts started coming in. Calling me an idiot. Calling me a dog hater. Saying it was rude I didn't come to the party. Said it was bullshit that she got my kid a Christmas present but didn't get her dog anything. The list went on. She was clearly drunk. I tried to call her. She didn't answer and got a text. I'm not answering, asshole. So am I an idiot here? Update. So earlier today, I finally talked to my sister. In the past few days it had been drama-free, with some today. A few things to address. To be honest, I was pissed at my sister's rule. We had looked for a babysitter and the time we were informed no kids were coming when we said we weren't coming. All our usual baby sisters were going to the party, like our parents, aunts, and no one outside that usual crew was available. Hence the last minute no. For those asking, when I told her no to the dog coming over on Christmas, I told her the day before, because that is when she asked. This is her first year with the dog, so I had no idea she had the expectation she would bring it. Apparently my mom told her to ask me first instead of just bringing it. She lives 10 minutes away. She's been vocal about not liking kids since she was a late teenager. She is child-free by choice as far as I know. So I got drunk texts because family members were disappointed my kid wasn't there, especially the ones that don't see my son that often. My sister told them she was trying to have no kids at the party. They were surprised by that since my sister has never hosted a party where the kids of the family were not invited. One other family member that has kids ended up having one stay home with their kid. So my sister did communicate this to more than just me. Seems like others weren't happy with her decision. We talked today and she is still mad about Christmas. Told me she wants me to accept her dog as family. I told her it can be family to you, but it isn't going to be family to me. It can be your everything, but it will never be to me. I told her my kid is more important than her dog. I'm not a dog person and will never be, and I just don't want it at my house. Apparently the attention my kid gets from family, including my mom, bothers her. It was clear from the beginning she wasn't going to be an involved aunt to my son, which makes me hurt and sad. But I didn't realize there was this much jealousy. I'm just going to give her space for a while then reach out. Not the idiot. This is sad. Wife and I are child-free, in our early 42nds, and are big-time dog people, but we'd never expect a family to treat our dogs as actual children and buy them gifts, and just allow them in their home without asking first. And while I'd love to live in a world where kids would not be at my home, 95% of my friends have them, and some are even pretty cool, so I learned to deal. I have still never held a baby though. To outright reject a child, especially a niece or nephew, is just cruel. Should she have gone without her kids? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I an idiot for not participating in my sister's funeral? I'm male 16. I live with my dad, male 48, and his wife Annabelle, female 30, and my half-sister Stacy, female 6. At the end of November, my cousin, also male 16, died in an accident. I was there. He was my best friend. My aunt and uncle are devastated, although they have said a bunch of times it wasn't my fault. He was my cousin on my late mom's side, and Stacy only met him a couple of times in passing. My sister has been kind of fascinated by what happened to Dally. She had never been to a funeral before. It started pretty much straight afterwards with her having funerals for her toys. Then a few weeks ago she started having funerals for herself. She lies down and says she's died, and then Annabelle says we have to dress nicely and come say nice things about Stacy. So she lies there while Annabelle cries about how much she will miss her, and then when we've said enough nice things, Stacy gets up and says she's alive, and it's over for another few hours. Yesterday she did this 3 times. I can't take much more of this. Annabelle says that Stacy is conceptualizing mortality for the first time and doing it in an incredibly creative way, and I need to be supportive. She says I already conceptualized it when my own mom died and I need to be less selfish. She says my negative flow is disrupting the energy of the house and I should go stay somewhere else if I can't contribute positively to the family dynamic. I would like to be anywhere else, but the only places I could go are my grandparents, mom's side, who live in a retirement community and are very old and sick, and my aunt and uncle, and although they say they don't blame me and they love me, I don't think they should have to be around me that much right now. So I should probably toughen up and just join in Stacy's funerals. After all, I am alive and all I have is a broken arm. Sorry, thanks for listening. Update. Thanks for the support last time. I kind of got in a bad spot after my last post and I took off by myself, and I got in a weird headspace where I was trying to talk to my cousin and just thinking of how he'd answer because I knew him really well. Anyway, Annabelle's mom found me. She posted here too, and she took me to her place and got my aunt and uncle. My uncle says that I half lived with them anyway and they wanted me home with them. It's been scary coming here because I feel like my cousin is going to come at any moment, but it's actually easier because my aunt and uncle both loved him too. Plus they actually talk to me so I don't get in my own head as much as I did at my dad's. They've also got me a therapist because they say we all need counseling. Therapist seems nice so far. Things are awkward with my dad. Think he took a lot of crap when Alice, Annabelle's mom, told everyone about what had been happening. He's mad at me because his boss yelled at him and now he thinks he won't get the promotion he was expecting. Annabelle's mommy friend saw my post too and now that's causing her problems. Oops. She wants us to do a guided meditation together to realign our relationship. But I told my uncle no and he agreed. They put Stacy in therapy on advice of her teacher, and the first thing she said was she was only doing the funerals because she wanted to make me sad. I have decided I don't want to see her anymore. I'm okay. I miss my cousin. I think I always will. But I'm with good people and I will go to them for help next time and not strangers because I know that they will listen. TL, doctor, I moved to live with my aunt and uncle and my dad is pissed at it. I'm probably going to be leaving this account now as I need to focus on my real world people. But thanks for all the great advice, especially on how to keep connected to my cousin in a way that is healthy. I have actually noted down some ideas. To clarify, my dad is mad because A, people are mad at him, but also cost when I spoke to him after I took off. He had a whole list of things I was going to have to do before he and Annabelle would let me come home, and I just said no, I'm moving in with my aunt and uncle. We're not in C or anything, but I don't think he will be in my life much now. But I'm not struggling with it the way I would have expected, so it's okay. Not the idiot. Wow, I can't believe a 6-year-old can be so cruel. Annabelle, I'm sorry to say. Sounds nuts, and maybe the feedback she's getting from friends and family will help her change her views on grief, growth, and healing. Also, it's embarrassing that a teacher had to recommend therapy, and not her parents when she started having mock funerals. I'm glad you're getting help, and that you and your aunt and uncle have each other and can hopefully heal together. I'm so sorry for your loss. Not the idiot. It's atrocious that a child was that manipulative at that age. However, if you look at her mother, I imagine you can see partly why. I am so happy you're in a safe and nurturing environment now. Am I an idiot for refusing to abandon my grandchild over my idiotic daughter? I female 56, and my husband Kurt male 59. Have 2 daughters, Ruth 32 and June 30th. 8 years ago, Ruth split up with her college boyfriend, Adam 32. They'd been together since she was 21st, and it was as serious as a college relationship could be. About 5 years ago, June announced that she reconnected with Adam at some alumni get-together. They'd all gone to the same university, and that they were now dating. Of course, Kurt and I were shocked she would do this despite her sister's history with him. But she insisted that they were in love and she can't help that, and that Ruth and Adam hadn't been together in years, so she hasn't done anything wrong. Ruth understandably was enraged over it. She said she was done with June and would never see her again. This broke me. They were so close growing up and I prayed every day they'd reconcile. But I accepted they're adults who can make their own choices and we have no say. Kurt and I were also very disappointed with June and told her off many times. But after she proved that there was never any cheating involved while Ruth and Adam were together, things between us settled down. Out of respect for Ruth's feelings, we never brought the girls together again. Ruth and June visit us separately and still aren't on speaking terms after 5 years, but we maintained our relationships. Now, June and Adam are married. Ruth has also moved on with a lovely boy. Coincidentally, both girls are expecting their first child. Ruth's due date is a little earlier. I can't put into words how excited we are to be grandparents and adore both these children. I've been supportive and is involved with both our daughters' pregnancies as they want. However, last week Ruth dropped a bomb on us. She said that if we ever see June again or her baby, she won't allow us in her child's life. This shattered me. It keeps me up every night. The thought of either of my grandchildren being deprived of loving grandparents is agonizing. I know Ruth was deeply hurt by June's actions, but I don't know if we should be punished just for not cutting our kid off. How can any parent even consider disowning a child? We begged her to reconsider and said our love for them both isn't conditional and we can't just stop loving one, but she's adamant. I don't want to accept Ruth's terms, as it seems like no matter what we decide, we're going to lose a daughter and grandchild. So I'd rather it not happen because we outright chose it. But I also don't want Ruth to believe we'd just drop her in favor of June. Because again, the thought crushes me. Would I be the idiot if I don't comply with Ruth's ultimatum? AITA, thank you to everyone for commiserating with this situation. I wish I could say it's helped me feel better, but right now it feels like nothing ever will. One of my babies hates the other. It broke me, but I accepted it. Now I'm faced with losing one of them no matter what. Entirely too many comments to respond to individually, so I just want to answer some of the most common questions here. Why did Ruth and Adam split up? Ruth left Adam because it just wasn't working. He was immature and said and did things that irritated her, mostly lots of minor things adding up. She said there was never any abuse nor cheating, but it was the right decision for herself. He was a nice enough boy, but he definitely had some growing up to do at the time. I did feel very badly for Ruth because she had invested a good few years into the relationship for someone so young, but agreed it was the right decision. Did we ever support Ruth? Ruth stayed with us for a few months when it first happened. Not just because of this, there were other reasons, and we were there for her and comforted her the whole time. Because she was so angry. We had asked June to not visit until she left. We still talked to her and met a couple of times in public places. We made it known that this hurt her sister and we were disappointed she didn't think of this. June understood and agreed with us supporting Ruth. She expressed sadness over losing her sister, but we clearly told her it was Ruth's decision to cut her off. Whether one thinks June did nothing wrong or not, it's untrue to say there were never any consequences for this. She's sad to this day that she's lost her sister and knows she has to accept and live with it. Did June ever apologize to Ruth? Both girls have confirmed that June reached out a few times over the years to apologize. No one put her up to it. Ruth didn't forgive her and she's well within her rights not to. We understand no one can or should make her accept the apology. Why don't we just cut off Adam? He's June's husband and the father of our second grandchild. They're a package deal now. Once we cut him off, we risk losing June and our grandchild anyway, which is the same as what I'm trying to prevent with Ruth. Some comments say that in letting June stay in our lives after this, I already chose her and asked why I didn't cut her off from the start. I'm baffled that anyone would suggest I could just disown a child so easily like she was never ours. Not disowning June doesn't mean I chose to be her mother over Ruth's. I never abandoned Ruth and never will. Ruth has thanked us for our support in the past. She said she was fine with how we'd arranged things for the last 5 years, as long as she never had to see June. She was happy seeing us and everything was normal between us. It's only now that she wants us to disown June. Some say she should have cut us off years ago for still loving June. She's said many times her goal isn't to cut us off. She loves us and wants us to be involved with her child, but that she can't stand June or her baby getting the same love and care from us because she thinks she doesn't deserve it. I want to add that if Adam had ever abused or cheated on Ruth, we certainly would have gone no contact or at least LC with them. But that's not what happened, and both girls used to repeatedly tell us that what happened between them had nothing to do with us. So yes, I did keep my relationship with both daughters. I don't regret it because as heartbreaking as this is, willingly cutting off either of them, outside of the circumstances I mentioned, is unfathomable to me or their father. Update. We followed the advice and told Ruth that if she decided to go no contact, we would comply. But we could never willingly cut off either of them. We again begged her to reconsider and reiterated that we were willing to go do family therapy, that we would do all we could to keep her and June apart, anything to make it work. She said she still wasn't happy that June and her baby would stay in our lives, but she would think about it. Kurt and I also looked into opening an account for Ruth's child, but didn't go through with it yet in hopes that things could turn around. Days went by. We didn't hear back from Ruth. It was agony. Then we get a call from June. She'd gotten wind of what was happening, through mutual family. She drove to Ruth's herself. No one put her up to this. She was prepared for Ruth to kick her out anyway. Once she was there, she apologized again and begged her not to do this. She said she could accept Ruth wanting nothing to do with her, but not to punish us because of it, especially since they both knew that cutting us off would cost her child-loving grandparents. Shockingly, Ruth didn't kick her out. She let her in and they both had a long tearful fight. They even hugged a few times. I'm foggy on details, but I suspect pregnancy hormones played a huge role here. I can't tell you how panicked I was hearing this story, because it could have been so risky for them both. They haven't exactly made up and Ruth didn't forgive June, but she admitted to her that her husband, Owen, has actually been trying to convince her to go to couples counseling and individual therapy as well. Apparently, since Ruth's pregnancy, some troubling qualities that he was able to deal with previously were exacerbated. She was becoming controlling and paranoid, and he was pleading with her to get help so they could be in a good place once the baby was born. June's visit was the final straw and Ruth broke down and agreed. Ruth called us later. She corroborated June's story and accepted our therapy offer. She still has one condition. She wants Owen there if June has to attend any sessions, and she doesn't want Adam present at all. We all agreed. The first session is in a few days. I can barely keep it together that I'll see both my babies in the same room for the first time in forever. It's been so stressful, but I can finally see some light. I haven't lost my daughters. Kurt and I are going to put everything into keeping our family together. I'm not going to be naive and assume everything will be fine now, but I'm hopeful. I want to thank everyone again for all the comfort and help. To those who sent kind DMs sharing their similar situations, I truly appreciate your solidarity. As for those who sent DMs calling one or both of my daughters whores, sluts, and hoping that they lose their unborn babies, I can only hope nothing abhorrent in your lives is driving you to be so miserable as to wish such heinous things on a stranger. Not the idiot. I'm so glad Ruth is willing to go to therapy. I read your opus and it just broke my heart. My aunt made a similar threat, though she never explained why, to my grandparents, and they refused to willingly go no contact with any of their children and grandchildren. To this day my mother swears the pain and heartbreak was what really killed her dad. I really hope therapy and time will help your daughters and your family to heal. Not the idiot. Opus, I am so heartened to read this. Something good has come out of a really rough thing, and everyone is being very brave and trying to address this. I'm so glad you found some support here and June is so very brave. Hugs to all of you. Very happy that Ruth is getting help and some attempt at repairing their sisterly relationship is happening. Did the parents handle this well? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I an idiot for wanting to get away from my awkward twin sister? I, female 17, have two older brothers, 19, 21, and a twin sister. I should mention that my family is pretty affluent. Ever since I remember myself, my parents encouraged me and my twin to compete with each other while they always favored her over me. She always had their support and I was expected to be considerate. When I succeed on something more than she does, they ask me to give it up, but they never ask this from her. I do love her and my parents even though I feel like I've been treated unfairly. Both of us aspired to be doctors for a long time. I studied really hard for it for a long time, so did she. This year we graduated and both of us applied for the same programs in the same universities. The process here is quite different than it is in the US. We can start med school right after high school if we get accepted. She wants to go to the same university as I do and so does my parents. I, on the other hand, feel like going on my own and having a separate life from my sisters. I love her so much, but we've been together my entire life. She's an introvert while I'm an extrovert, so she followed me around most of the time. I always included her and made sure she's happy, but it's been like this our entire lives and I'm honestly tired. Not to mention that if we go to the same place I would be expected to study with her and help her get high grades and won't be able to study on my own and focus on my success. And my parents will be mad if I succeed more than her. It's been like this for the past 12 years, which will eventually hurt me. I just want to finally be a person of my own. This is where I might be the idiot. I got accepted to 4 different universities and she got into 2. I waited for her to decide where she wanted to go and then made my decision, like I said, a different place. Then she changed her mind and said she wants to go to her second option. The one I chose. I said that it's not a problem and I will go to a different place, one she didn't get into. My sister got really offended and my parents were furious, even though I explained myself politely and said that I love her but wanted to get a fresh start where nobody knows me. They demanded that I go to the same place as my sister or else they wouldn't pay for my degree. Then I said whatever and that I'll be fine on my own and left to my grandparents. When they came to talk to me, they just kept on saying how wrong and entitled I am. I really had enough, so I told them I hate them for treating me like this. Now I'm refusing to talk to them and ignoring their calls. My brothers and grandparents are on my side, but everyone else tells me I'm an idiot. So am I. I said in the comments, school started 2 weeks ago and so far it's absolutely amazing. I have great roommates and I love my classes. It's a bit intense, but I'm keeping up. It's truly a dream come true. Well, some things happened. My parents apparently called my uni and asked for my schedule. From what I understand, they said that as my legal guardians, they are entitled to know everything about it. The school told them that if they want my details, they need to come and prove that they are indeed who they claim to be and informed me about it. It happened just a couple of days after school year started. They hadn't contacted me until a week ago when they asked me to have dinner with them, even offered to drive to where I am. which is strange as they never even bothered to pick me up from friends, and I agreed. It was on Friday. They reserved places in a fancy restaurant nearby. Dinner went surprisingly well. Bit awkward, but they were nice. Then they told me they will pay for my school tuition and everything else I need, but only if I take a gap year. I refused, obviously. After arguing with me, my dad said that he had enough of my attitude and ungratefulness, left a 200 francs bill and left. I'll admit that I sat there crying about half an hour before I left, with the change as the bill and the tip didn't reach 200 francs lol. If you're asking yourselves what was that about, then I did too. I talked to my brother. Apparently my sister decided she doesn't want to go to med school. She wants to take a vacation to think about the future with cleared mind or something like that, and you guessed it. Almost everyone think I should go with her. After all, we are twins and it will only be fair that we'll start studying at the same time. There was no contact from my parents ever since, but it's kinda okay with me. I got a scholarship and by the end of the semester I might get another one. My grandparents paid for the rest. They insist that I won't pay them back, but I'm already working on that. My sister answered my messages yesterday. She told me that I hurt her because I didn't want to be with her, and she doesn't know if she can forgive me. I understand her and I do really miss her, but I don't want to give up on my dream. I hope she will understand me someday. So basically I think things are alright by now. Not much has changed, but I have my grandparents and my friends, so I'm fine. I'll be completely calm only after my 18th birthday when my parents won't be able to get me out of uni. It's really soon, so I'm optimistic. Mini update. I'm still not talking to my parents. They tried to reach out, but I'm not interested. Not right now at least. I don't know nor interested in knowing what they wanted to say. I did talk to my sister though. She's currently in South America living her best life and searching for purpose. This is more or less a translation for her words. It will soon be exam season and it's pretty stressful, but I'm confident in most of my courses. Not the idiot. Great update. I am a twin and I despise parents who treat their twins to be exactly the same. Twins are individuals who happen to be born during the same pregnancy. You have done a great job realizing this and striking out on your own. You are setting yourself up for success and keep it up no matter how hard it gets. I am afraid your sister, while still may be successful eventually, is set up for the harder road by your parents' actions, which she is feeding on. Just be open to her when and if she wises up to support her, but be ready if she never comes around and sets boundaries. Am I an idiot for telling my sister her insecurities are not my problem? I, female 28, am a single mom of 3 kids. I met my daughter when I was 22 volunteering in a mentor program. Her bio mom asked that I take her in for a while when she was having a hard time, so I agreed to become her foster parent. Then 2 years ago we got the paperwork together for me to become her official guardian. I plan to adopt when kiddo is old enough to tell me that's what she wants. Last year I got a phone call from my daughter's caseworker, informing me that her bio mom had another child and she wanted him to be placed with his sister, so I took him in too. I didn't plan on having any other children, but I met someone, it didn't last, and long story short is that I have a first grader, a toddler, and I'm 25 WKS. My sister Bri, female 34, always loved hanging with my kids whenever she had the spare time. She's been struggling with infertility since she and her husband started trying for a baby 8 years ago, and I can tell how badly she wants to be a mom. I really do hope that someday it does happen for her, because it's all she's ever wanted. Since I announced my pregnancy though, Bri has been kind of distant. I thought that maybe it was just life stuff or I was being overly emotional due to hormones, so I didn't really press her on it or anything and went about things as usual. Our mom invited us all to dinner the other night, so I got my kiddos settled with a sitter and drove to my mom's place. Dinner went mostly fine, but Bri kept giving me looks every time someone brought up the pregnancy. And towards the end of the night she asked why I even adopted 2 children if I clearly had no trouble making a baby of my own. I told her that when I started fostering my oldest, it was just to give her a safe place to live until her mom could get things sorted. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and now her brother is with me too. I love my children and I'm happy to be their mom, but it wasn't my intention in the beginning to adopt via foster care. I wanted their bio mom to work things out, and my heart genuinely hurts for her because she wasn't able to do that. Bri then said that it feels like I'm rubbing my kids in her face. She told me that it isn't fair that I basically had 2 kids fall into my lap and then decided to be reckless and get knocked up too, all while she's been trying for years to have a child with no luck. She said it's cruel and unfair that I took 2 babies from the system that could have gone to parents who deserved them, all while being able to easily have one on my own. I ended up telling her that while it sucks, it's not my fault that some people want kids and can't have them, and that her infertility baggage isn't really my issue. Our mother asked me to leave and the next day called me to tell me that I was being unnecessarily cruel to my sister when I know what she's been going through. Now I don't know if what I said was out of line. Update. Hi, I know it's only been a few days since I last posted, but some things happened and I've decided to rinse my hands of the situation, so I thought I'd provide you all with an update. First though, I do want to thank you for your feedback. It was nice to be reassured that I wasn't being overly mean, as that's what I was mainly worried about. I do really love my sister and I don't ever want to cause her to hurt, even when we are fighting. So my mom was supposed to go to my anatomy scan with me yesterday, but she called me and told me that because Bri is still upset to the point of not speaking to me, she didn't want to make it any worse by going to the appointment. I took my toddler with me instead, and he was great company. The nurses absolutely loved having him there, and it was easier not to think about the fact that my mom ditched me when I had him to focus on. Mom did text me later wanting to know if the baby was a boy or a girl and if everything went alright, but I still haven't texted her back because I feel like I'd just end up getting even more hurt about the situation. I don't think I'm going to try anymore with either of them. I wanted to in the beginning because I think Bri just needs to talk to a therapist and sort her feelings out, but our mom deciding to skip out on this appointment with me just kinda sealed the deal. I sent Bri's husband a message, since Bri has blocked me, telling them both that I hope things work out for them in all the ways they deserve, and that I am genuinely sorry if I hurt her. I recommended talking to a therapist or support group of some kind, and said that when Bri has worked through all of the things she still needs to work through, she's more than welcome to call me. My dad found out about the argument and he's offered to come drive down with his wife to stay with me when the baby gets here, since the plan was originally for my mom to do it instead. I told him I'd let him know once it gets closer to the actual date, but I think that's probably what's going to end up happening. I'm not going to focus too much on Bri and my mom right now. My kiddos are my priority, and I think what's best is to keep them away from the drama, so I don't plan on allowing Bri or my mom around for a while. Edit. Baby number 3 is a little boy. You all are so sweet for asking. Edit 2. Some people have been asking, so I wanted to clarify a few things. 1. My kid's bio mom and I had initially agreed upon me caring for the oldest without any outside court involvement. Just an agreement between the two of us. 2 years after that initial agreement, I was 24, and it was clear that my daughter would be staying with me for much longer than originally intended. So then bio mom and I did mutually decide on court involvement to make the situation official. 2. Neither of the kids were infants when I was granted custody of them. 3. My toddler hung out with the nurses at the front of the clinic while I was in the actual appointment. Lol. He was too little to be allowed back. Not the idiot. What I love most about this is how you defended bio mom from criticism in the original post. We don't know her circumstances, and the fact you are willing to stand up for her is commendable and will surely bode well for the mental health of your adopted children in the long run. You sound like a deeply compassionate person, not the idiot. This time or last, I feel like your mom is making excuses for your sister's bad behavior and, in the process, is reinforcing said behavior. I think you made the best call you can for yourself and children. Just be sure to set good boundaries and be ready to reinforce them, because once the dust settles, someone may attempt to test them. Is her sister an awful person? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for kicking out my parents for never telling me about my half-sister? I, 28, love my parents. They've always been great to me, loved me and supported me. They've been staying with me and my wife since we had a baby to help out, and if I'm being honest, it has been a great help having them around. Yesterday my dad asked me to get the mail from his place after work so he can pay his bills. Well, I got the mail and most of it is bills and ads, but one actual letter. I didn't think anything of it and gave it to my dad. He apparently threw it out, but my wife noticed it in the trash and read it. She didn't know what it was when she saw it. She brought it to me and it was addressed to my dad as father, so obviously my half-sister. She's pregnant and asking for money because it's harder for her to make it and she just wants to support her baby. I confronted my parents and yeah, she's 21-ish, born from my dad's affair. He gave her money until she graduated. She's writes him letters. She's apparently not in college cause she's broke and he thinks she's stripping or doing sex work. He doesn't even know for sure. He just told me he's done supporting her and she isn't his responsibility. We talked more about it for half an hour. My mom was quiet and my dad has never been like that. I don't even know the word to describe how he was. It just made me so freaking angry I made them leave right there without even taking their things back. Cause it feels like it's my fault. I have a sister out there who's living like garbage while I'm out here enjoying my life. After looking into her a bit more, I talked to 2 cousins 2 hours ago and they're both divided on if I did the right thing. One cousin thinks I was an idiot for making my parents leave without talking things through or even making a plan, but her sister thinks I did the right thing. My wife told me she's staying out of it since she regrets reading somebody else's mail. I just don't know myself. I feel like an idiot for making my parents leave cause I love them so much, but at the same time I feel so mad over the situation. Edit. Since people are wondering if my mom knew because she was so quiet, she knew everything. Update. I want to thank everyone who said to go talk to my parents. That's the first thing I did. I went to their place and I tried to talk to them. But it was frustrating and my mom got angry when I said I was going to reach out to my sister. She asked why I cared and I got upset and told her because she taught me to. My dad saw me out after that and surprised me by telling me he was proud of me for being a better man than him. That was weird. Anyway, my wife reached out to my sister Anna and she agreed to meet. We went with my cop friend Joe cause you never know. We met Anna in her apartment and it's on the rough side of town. It's tiny and a poop place to live. Anna's a small, quiet girl who works in a library. She reminds me of my gran. She claims she's only a waitress at a strip club to make ends meet. Obviously she can't do it now. She said she's failed like her mom and the best thing she can do is have her kids succeed. She said she just wanted cash to take pregnancy classes. I gave her my number and some cash, of which she gave a lot back right away. That night my wife asked if I could let Anna move in cause she felt heartbroken. I gave Anna the offer but she refused and said she won't take advantage of us. About a month later she phoned me crying and said there's black mold in her building and she has to go. She came to us with barely anything, just clothes, a wallet, a toothbrush and a sack of old books. Since then she's just been sad and really alone because she thinks she's taking advantage. She tries to help with chores a lot and always apologizes. She's only happy when she plays with our baby. But it was her birthday a few days ago and she asked if we'd get her cupcakes. It was like she expected me to say no. But my wife went and got them in a whole DQ cake while I got her the box set of the Expanse books. She started crying and hugged us both when she saw everything on the living room table for her. In the days since, she has seemed happier and I won't lie, I'm worried for her but I do think stability has helped her. As for my parents, my mom refuses to come as long as she is there, so I visit her with the baby sometimes. My dad refuses to go because he says he's ashamed. Whatever, I guess. On the other hand, my wife's parents told me they are more proud of me than ever. About the idiot. One thought for moving forward. If you'd like Anna to feel less insecure about her role in your life and in your home, you might consider working out an explicit contribution arrangement that both works within her capabilities, skills, and also provides real value to your plus wife that you can be genuinely grateful for. While Anna isn't in a position to contribute to your household financially, it takes a lot more than money to make and sustain a happy, healthy home environment, and she may be perfectly capable of contributing in other ways. Even if there are things she doesn't know how to do well yet, if she could be excited to learn and it would be a real help to y'all, then it would be a wonderful growth opportunity. Should she have kicked her parents out? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I an idiot for being a burden on my sister? When I, male 21, was a kid, my mom passed away and my sister, female 28, was basically my maternal figure. This happened when I was 6 and my dad goes to work at 5 a.m. and only comes back around 11 p.m. My sister usually took care of me. She sacrificed a lot to take care of me and she spoiled me a lot too. Despite my dad telling her not to worry about cooking, she would always come home from school and cook, and she was the one who helped me pack for school trips. My dad and I are really grateful to her and she always says she wouldn't have done anything different. She was basically my mom, and I'm very close with her. She calls me daily and checks in on me, and does the same with my dad. Once again, for my dad and I, we couldn't imagine life without her. We both feel really bad about her sacrificing her childhood, but she insists she didn't sacrifice anything as she still did stuff and all she did extra was cook and help take care of. But that's a huge responsibility that me and my dad acknowledge. My sister and her girlfriend 24F have been in a relationship for 2-3 years. I recently moved to my sister's city after transferring to her college. I went to visit her and her girlfriend and catch up over lunch since it's been 7 months since I've seen my sister. This was my first time meeting her GF. When I saw my sister and met her GF, everything was normal. My sister invited me to visit their apartment whenever I had a chance. My sister asked me if I wanted some of her home-cooked meals she made for me as a kid, and I smiled and asked if she could make one of my favorites. I love my sister's cooking and I was really happy she offered. Her GF's face contorted, but she didn't say anything. My sister got called into a work emergency at her hospital and told me and her GF to continue lunch without her and finish meeting each other. As soon as my sister left, her GF's attitude started changing. She told me my sister always spoke so fondly of me when all I seemed like was a burden, and how my dad and I were misogynistic and brainwashed my sister to be our servant. Check said, she's my sister, a victim who doesn't realize she's a victim. She said so many hurtful things and said I came back into my sister's life, and even now I'm being a burden by asking her to cook for me. We both left, but it didn't end there. She messaged me on Instagram with more of the same stuff. She said if I care about my sister, I won't tell her the conversation we had since my GF was just looking out for my sister, and I would slowly take me and my dad out of my sister's life. I feel so bad. I never wanted my sister to lose her childhood or be my servant. The more I think about it, the more I think maybe her GF is right. So am I an idiot for being a burden on my sister her entire life? Should I slowly distance myself from her? What do I do to let her live her own life? Update. I talked to my father about it since it includes him too, and my father cried at the thought of his daughter being better off without him. But both my father and I don't want to cut my sister out of our life, and we thought we were selfish. My father has never cried except for when my mom died. He didn't cry when his parents died. But that day he cried, thinking about not having contact with his daughter. The second time in my life I've seen him cry. I finally showed my sister with my dad, and she was shocked. She said she's never thought of it as a burden to care for me, and she hugged me, and we all had a family crying session as we reflected on the hardships and memory after my mother passed away. My father and I told my sister we don't mind what the girlfriend did and she should be with her if she's happy, but my sister said it's run its course. Anyone who doesn't like my dad and me isn't right for her is what she said, and that the three of us are a package deal. My sister broke it off with her GF, and her GF unfortunately has nowhere to go since my GF let her stay in her apartment so far without asking for rent. My sister blocked her on everything, and so did I. Her GF messaged me on a burner account saying she doesn't even care that I made her homeless. That's the least of her happiness, but it's that I ruined my sister's love and that I'm homophobic. I showed my sister those messages and my sister laughed and told me to ignore any communication from her. My sister has assured me I didn't ruin the relationship and she would have been heartbroken if I or my dad distanced ourselves. She said she's proud of the Alan I grew up to be and she wouldn't change anything about the past. We both cried again. Edit. A lot of people mentioned we should do something for my sister to show her our appreciation. I reached out to her boss, who is my friend's older brother, and asked if she had any vacation days, and he said she should be getting a winter break for Christmas. Usually she spends this break at home with us or somewhere else since she's saving up. I talked it through with my dad, and one of my sister's dreams has been to visit the Canary Islands. She's always told us this and has even said it would be a perfect winter spot to avoid the chill. So we are pooling together money to get her a 12-day round trip. We will have everything booked in the next week, and we will surprise her with it as soon as everything is confirmed. That's all. Once again, thanks to Reddit. I won't be doing any more posts or anything. I'm going to abandon this account soon. Thank you all. We are also paying for 2 of her best friends to go with her, obviously. We don't want her to go alone, as that's not fun. Not the idiot. I am glad things worked out. The primary reason I can see her ex-GF saying those things would be to try and break your sister away from her family so she would be easier to abuse and control. It is entirely possible and likely that she tried from your sister's end first and didn't gain any traction. Oh, wow, you are so incredible taking on that burden. Oh, it wasn't a burden. I love my family, and while it would have been nice to be a carefree kid for longer, taking care of my brother and my dad was super important to me and still is.